I instinctively backed away, my head bowed. Crap, I was so busted. Brenda was going to have a field day with this. Mr. Sterling, you see? Brenda said sweetly. This rookie is so unprofessional. And a pathological liar. Other coworkers were starting to stare, some even pulling out their phones. I clutched the hem of my shirt, bracing for a public execution. Then, Mr. Sterling spoke. She's right, he said, his voice clear and steady. I was very satisfied with her proposal. Brenda's smile shattered like glass. The office fell so quiet I could hear the hum of the air conditioner sputtering to a nervous halt. Colleagues froze mid-typing, coffee mugs suspended in air, all eyes darting between me, Brenda's crimson face, and Mr. Sterling's unreadable expression. I stood rooted to the spot, my heart hammering so loud it drowned out every other sound, including the tiny voice in my head screaming, "This can't be happening." "S, sir?" Brenda stammered, her voice cracking. "But yesterday you said her work was, yesterday's draft was incompetent, Mr. Sterling cut her off, his tone sharp but not unkind. He stepped forward, his polished leather shoes clicking against the floor, and for a split second, his gaze flicked to me, warm, almost apologetic, before settling back on Brenda. "This morning's revision is exceptional. Thorough market analysis, innovative client engagement strategies, and a budget breakdown that's tighter than our Q3 projections. It's exactly what I've been asking for." Brenda's mouth hung open, a string of sputtered protests dying on her lips. Mr. Sterling didn't give her a chance to recover. "If you're finished disrupting the team, Ms. Hale, I suggest you get back to your desk. Your own proposal for the West Coast account is still missing 3 key sections, and I don't tolerate excuses." With that, he turned on his heel and strode back to his office, the door closing with a soft click that felt like a gavel coming down. The office erupted in hushed murmurs. A few coworkers shot me impressed grins. Others avoided my eyes, no doubt seething with jealousy. Brenda, meanwhile, gathered her papers and stormed off to the break room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. I sank into my chair, my legs wobbly with relief. What on earth had just happened? The man who'd reduced me to tears 3 times this week had just defended my work in front of the entire team. And that bizarre question about pottery, why had he asked that? It felt like a puzzle piece that didn't fit, a loose thread in an already tangled mess. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from my knight. "My knight, how'd it go, baby? Did that jerk finally see how amazing you are?" Face blowing a kiss, I smiled, typing back a quick reply. "Me, he loved it, said it's exceptional. Thank you so much, you're my hero. Red heart, my knight, anything for you, sweet girl." Smiling face with smiling eyes. "Oh, and I saw your stream last night, those hand-painted mugs with the lavender designs, stunning. You're so talented with your hands." A warmth spread through my chest. He always remembered the little things, the crafts I posted, the way I rambled about my mom's recovery, the way I hated cilantro on my tacos. It was why I'd fallen for him even though we'd never met in person. He made me feel seen, something no one in my real life, except maybe my mom, had ever done. I spent the rest of the day fielding congratulatory messages from coworkers and avoiding Brenda, who'd reappeared with a permanent scowl etched into her face. At 3 p.m., Mr. Evans, the boss's assistant, stopped by my desk with a thick folder. "Mr. Sterling wants you to review these client files before the trip," he said, handing it over. "You'll be accompanying him to Chicago this weekend. He's requested you personally. The flight leaves at 7 a.m. Saturday. I'll send you the itinerary and boarding passes shortly." My eyebrows shot up. "Chicago? But I'm just an entry-level associate. Shouldn't someone more experienced handle this?" Mr. Evans smiled, a small, knowing curve of his lips. "Mr. Sterling says you have a unique perspective that'll be valuable with the Midwest clients. Between us, he's been in a foul mood for weeks, snapping at everyone, working until 2 a.m. every night. But since he read your proposal this morning, he's calmer, focused. Whatever you did, keep doing it." With that, he walked away, leaving me staring at the folder in confusion. What was so special about that proposal? It wasn't even mine, it was my knight's. That night, I video called my mom. She was sitting up in bed, a crocheted blanket draped over her lap, looking better than she had in months. Her cheeks were flushed with color, her eyes bright with life. "Hey, sweetie," she said, her face lighting up when she saw me. "How was work? You sounded so excited on the phone earlier." I told her about the proposal, about Mr. Sterling's praise, about the Chicago trip. Her smile grew wider with each word. "I'm so proud of you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You've been through so much, working full-time, taking care of me, doing those streams to pay the bills. You deserve this break." I nodded, fighting back tears. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. And, well, without my knight. He's the one who actually revised the proposal. I just handed it in." Her smile softened. "He sounds like a wonderful man. When are you two going to meet in person?" I hesitated. We'd talked about it, of course, dreamed about it. He'd mentioned a business trip to Chicago next month, and we'd joked about finally meeting then. But between my work schedule and his, he'd never specified what he did, just that it was high pressure and required a lot of travel. We'd never solidified plans. "Soon," I said, forcing a smile. "I hope." After we hung up, I messaged my knight, telling him about the trip. "My knight, Chicago? That's a great city. I've been there a bunch of times for work. You'll love the deep dish pizza. Make sure you try Gino's East." Smiling face with smile smiling eyes me. Have you? What do you do for work anyway? You never talk about it. There was a long pause, longer than usual. I stared at my phone, my stomach sinking. Had I crossed a line? My night, it's boring stuff. Meetings, spreadsheets, dealing with difficult clients. Nothing as exciting as your pottery. Winking face, but hey, if you ever want to know more, just ask. I breathed a sigh of relief, typing back a joke about spreadsheets being the worst invention since cilantro. He laughed, and the moment passed. But a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. Why was he so vague about his job, and why did his description sound eerily similar to Mr. Sterling's? The next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. to catch my flight. I threw on a tailored blazer and a pair of slacks, grabbed my laptop and the client files, and headed to the airport. Mr. Sterling was already there, standing by the check-in counter, wearing a crisp white shirt and a navy suit. He looked less exhausted than he had the day before, but there were still faint dark circles under his eyes, proof he'd been working late again. "Good morning," he said, his voice neutral. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," I replied, trying to keep my tone professional. We checked in silence, then boarded the plane. The first-class cabin was spacious, leather seats, personal TVs, a flight attendant offering champagne. I sank into my seat, feeling out of place. Mr. Sterling, meanwhile, pulled out a laptop and started typing, his fingers flying across the keyboard with a speed that made my jaw drop. I tried to focus on the client files, but I couldn't stop glancing at him. There was something familiar about the way he typed, quick, precise, with a slight furrow between his brows when he was concentrating. It reminded me of my night. But that was ridiculous. My night was kind and supportive. Mr. Sterling was cold and demanding. They were polar opposites. "Would you like something to drink?" the flight attendant asked, interrupting my thoughts. "Just water, please," I said. Mr. Sterling looked up from his laptop. "Make that 2 waters. And a black coffee, no sugar." The flight attendant nodded and walked away. Mr. Sterling went back to typing, but after a minute, he glanced at me. "You make pottery," he said, not a question. I froze. "Yes, sir. Just as a hobby. I do a little stream on the side to help with my mom's medical bills." He nodded, his expression unreadable. "I've seen it. The stream." My mouth dropped. "You have?" He looked away, his cheeks turning slightly pink. "A coworker mentioned it. I checked it out. The lavender mugs are well made." I stared at him, dumbfounded. The man who'd called my work garbage had watched my crafting stream, and he'd remembered the lavender mugs, something I'd only made once months ago. Before I could say anything, the flight attendant returned with our drinks. Mr. Sterling took his coffee and water, then went back to his laptop, effectively ending the conversation. But my mind was racing. Why was he being so weird? Why was he suddenly interested in my hobbies? The flight to Chicago was 2 hours long. Mr. Sterling worked the entire time while I alternated between reading client files and texting my night. Me, on the plane now. Mr. Sterling is sitting next to me, working. He's actually being kind of nice today. Flushed face, my night, nice, that's a first. Maybe he finally realized he's been an idiot. Winking face, have fun in Chicago. Text me when you land. I smiled, typing back a quick "I will." When I looked up, Mr. Sterling was staring at me, his laptop closed. "We land in 20 minutes, he said. "The client meeting is at 2 p.m. We'll go straight there, no time for a stop at the hotel. I expect you to take notes, handle any last-minute revisions to the proposal, and assist with logistics. Got it?"